Much love to my peoples. What up, y'all? Good day today. You know what I'm saying? Positive energy activate constant elevation. May the gods and goddesses build. Yeah, the gods and goddesses build. Um, Collectively, you know what I'm saying? To make our lives, you know what I'm saying, in the well being flow of the Most High's creation, aim, and purpose for our life, where we are right. And the things that we do, you know what I'm saying, our lifestyle standing, you know what I'm saying, and with positive relations, you know what I'm saying. I want to build with this transmission here at this time, right? Dealing with knowledge itself, of course, you know, that is designed to, you know, shed light on perspectives, you know, that will keep us in a knowledgeable position of advantage in terms of knowing this knowledge to where, you know, we can apply it to where it work and produce good results, representing us being sound-minded citizens of the world, and in addition to, you know, where we live in our community, locally, where we at, specifically here in Detroit, right? There is a plurality of things that's going on to where we cannot allow ourselves, you know what I'm saying, to get caught up in things that cause us to continue to lose. You know what I'm saying? We have to stay well connected to things that cause us to continue to win. What I mean by that, we have to stay armed with knowledge. That is such a true statement. Knowledge is power. You know what I'm saying? Knowledge, you know what I'm saying, enable you to be off to square off all unrighteousness. You know what I'm saying? Now, what I mean by that, there's psychological warfare in games through information manipulation that is causing a lot of our people to be in certain states of mind that is causing them to give energies to a illusory world called phantasmagoria. Now, phantasmagoria is a make believe place to where people are swept away in it as a result of being influenced into it through a certain win or push, or through a certain power or engine that caused them to be in that particular realm of existence for the purpose to be parasitically taken advantage of through by them having lack of knowledge that was created, that which is a state of affairs that is created, you know, for the victims of that particular social construct, just to be a perpetual source of feeding for these greedy manipulators, you know what I'm saying, who perpetuate that food source, you know, to be taken advantage of through economic exploitation, social ostracizing, spiritual pimp, pimp, pimping, through spiritually pimping them people, or in to specifically identify the people that they pimping, certain sectors of what's called the black community, or the African American community, or the Negro community that lack leadership, to where the citizens of that community don't know any better, but all they know, you know what I'm saying, is to just be consumers who was caught up in consumerism with a relationship with certain other forces in the community that go unchallenged. Now, these other forces that's in the community that has been going unchallenged for quite some time has to now be completely challenged to the point where we able to stand on our own independent square, so to speak, and construct a whole new social dynamic of what's going on. Because this is 2022 going into 2023. We got to be free from the distractions that keep us operating as babies and children, speaking baby language, doing childish children type things compared to the adult moves that people making when it comes to business and commerce and property ownership with economic and political power. Now, for instance, a lot of our people, though, who appear to have certain, like, you know, what they call leadership positions, right? For who? To what end? How are we benefiting from these positions that these people that went through a particular system to get in position that we voted them into or selected them to be into, to where in return the thanks we get is to be sold out to the point where these particular people pockets just getting rich and abandon they people, to where they people are still left in a struggling, impoverished state to overcome the impoverished condition or situation or living condition. Now, in the eyes of the civilized world, our people have a reputation, it appears, to be like we don't work with each other in all areas, to where in all areas politically, socially, and spiritually, to the point that that serves as points of weak links in chains of organization. So those weak links and chains of organization is sources of communication breakdowns. Now, in these areas of communication breakdowns, these areas can be fixed to the point where to the point where we can change for the better. Now, for instance, I want to go into this certain reading material, right? Dealing with a moral, political, and economic imperative for us to get into, right? Now, this is dealing with the economic order and power. Dealing with economic, this subject matter is dealing with economic order and power. Now, economic powerlessness means political powerlessness. What does this have to do with us as a people? What does this mean for us as a people? The idea that the African American community can exercise effective power, political or otherwise, without simultaneously exercising economic power is a fantasy. So, without our economic support in strides of political power to obtain certain political power for us collectively as a people, it's only a fantasy. Now, look at other racial groups when it comes to like certain political interests. They have certain people. They other races back certain representatives of their people with money to enhance the political approach of the people in leadership position that are to look after their people's interests, to the point where their political approaches become a reality. So, to answer the question, like, why do it seem like when it comes to our people, right, organizing and really pulling off certain political approaches to gain certain political power? Okay, who are these people, really, that constitute the Congressional Black Caucus or our Detroit City Council persons or certain black groups and organizations, you know, that is in place that represent us? Who are they being funded by? And why do it seem like we disconnected to these people who so-called representing us? Because when you talk to the average brother or sister out here, they be like, we don't have leadership, black leadership. Where is the black leadership? Who is coming together collectively as a whole to represent black leadership that include us in the political spectrum of political power as a people, being the people with political power, right? That is, let me get the terms right. That is, let's see, that is recognized, right, by the international community of the rest of the human family. Now, to make reality, you know what I'm saying, for us to be as a people, to accomplish certain political power, we gotta deal with some real work to be done through what's called freedom actions. Now, Honorable Elijah Muhammad said, free people do free things. A lot of time has gone by. Too much time has gone by for us not to really get it. You know what I'm saying? And organize ourselves and unite ourselves through certain rules that will really, really help us out in the areas of nationhood. For instance, right, a lot of us has really been duped. A lot of our people has really been dumped down to the point where it really makes you angry. But you know what? I have to channel that energy in a positive channel to reason out well, being free from emotions that can possibly cloud my perception of certain things. You know what I'm saying? So to avoid that, I'm going to keep my cool. Right. I'm gonna keep my cool and go into a lot of different areas dealing with the science of knowledge itself. Having an open mind is very, very important to be a person to like fix problems because somebody has to do these particular works through seeing things first and then taking action to remedy the mess. Now, the master teacher was like, all I want to do is set this whole record straight. All I want to do is set the whole mess straight. All I want to do is set the whole record straight. I support that 1,000%. There is a major awakening that has to take place amongst our people to get out from under these misnomers. First of all, certain forces have done such a great work with a word game plan to where the witchcraft have runs the witchcraft runs so deep to the point where, excuse me, you really have to be the type of person to not get caught up in the trick bag of the web of lies. So when you are a chosen one or a star seed or a golden one or a god that build or a goddess that build who have a liberated mindset through knowledge itself, see the games. We are doing something about this that we may be in our proper person status forever, for all eternity, and for our future bloodlines through our children to be free and free indeed and in action through and through their minds. Because right now, we are what our forefathers and mothers were and are. We haven't gone anywhere. It's just a matter of us straightening our thinking out. Now, for instance, right, a lot of our people suffer from what's called an identity crisis. We go on by certain names that don't connect us to our true cultures. How did these things happen? And on top of that, when we find out who we are, there is more layers of trickery that we still got to eradicate from out of our lives that tie us into a system of a matrix of slavery. So, for instance, right, a lot of things in this world has to be redefined. Like, for instance, the words that we commonly use on a day-to-day basis um, need to be reversed and put in its proper perspective, because there is a saying when it came to, like, for instance, in the Bible. Now we know the Bible to our people has been what's called a coloring book. The Bible has also been called by our people a poison book. The Bible also means basic instructions before leaving earth. The Bible is also a book of parables, allegory, metaphors, similes, symbols, signs, and symbols, which are to be decoded, and a book of codes. Now, in the book, there is wisdom. For him that has an ear, let him or her hear what the Spirit has to say to the churches, meaning you and I, the real temple, the human being, or the natural person that is of the Most High. Now, there is certain passages in the book that says, in regards to the devil, what was going to make what was wrong look right and what's right look wrong. The master teacher took it deeper. He expounded on that. That was in a perspective to where what the evil one did was cast a spell of reverse knowledge. Reverse knowledge. It was properly the spiritual wisdom of the Most High has been properly worded and properly versed, but the evil one reversed it in a whole nother way and cast a spell of reverse knowledge that got people in the world and in society caught up in doing things backwards. To where they love a lie instead of the truth. Right? So, for me to catch that, I represent the light. I'm not about being caught up in a web of lies. You know what I'm saying? In life is not intended for us to be that way. Life is intended to us to be free mentally, spiritually, on all levels of ourselves. And most definitely with soul protection. You know what I'm saying? Now, this is the proof and evidence to show that there are really forces in life who has been around doing this for quite some time. For, let me see, for centuries and for decades, planning these particular kind of effects. Now, for instance, right, for us to be free from mislabels and identity crises. Let's look at the word identity crisis. The word identity is a noun derived from the old Moorish Latin word identitas, or ultimately item, meaning same. Identity denotes who a person is, right? Let's stop. Identity denotes who a person is. So, why is it that a lot of people out here, right, appears to be denoting that they are who they are, but in all actuality, they are not who they are? Hmm. So why they are not who they are? Do they know that they not who they are? That's what we have going on out here. We have confusion to the point where we have to watch people. Ignorance is dangerous. It can cause people to act out of character in certain ways where they become spiritually polluted by witches who manipulated in them a certain spirit to be possessed with a certain mentality and not even know it. Let's continue to read. Now, identity denotes who a person is, what a thing is, or individuality. Now, the unresolved question amongst the oppressed and suppressed peoples, branded Negro, black, colored, West Indian, etc., African American, is that the names they are marked with, right, as national and parentage and pedigree names. Now look at this. The unresolved questions amongst the oppressed and suppressed peoples, branded Negroes, black, colors, West Indian, etc., is that the names they are marked with as national and parentage and pedigree names are clearly not the names of their or our forefathers or foremothers. How did that happen? Now, most slaves bear the names of the European slave holding families. European slave holding families. Now, as a free people will be free from European slave holding families. Now, their names are alien and not the same as their forefathers and foremothers. What is wrong and who is seriously addressing this issue? Black leaders in Washington, the Congressional Black Caucus, Detroit City Council persons, or everyday people. What are we doing to get in our proper person status? Somebody put us in a certain position in society through the 14th Amendment to be citizens of a certain quality. To where the quality of them citizens are still considered in a slave state. Now, now this takes me to that movie, The Invasion of the Body Snatchers. These movies be subliminal messages or telltale signs of a psyop that has been carried out in the world, you know, to literally have a certain working on human beings for their own purpose and agenda, to the point where it's like, what kind of games is these people playing? You know what I'm saying? With these, with people's life. You know what I'm saying? Life is not a game, but yet it seems that there are games being played. Now, I'm saying that to say this: we have birth certificates and social security numbers. Now, have we really paid attention to the birth certificates and social security numbers? Okay, we have a birth certificate, social security card, but it's deeper than that. The birth certificate is bond paper, or why is there all capital letters that's supposed to represent me on that birth certificate when at the same time that is not me? That is a corporate created entity, a fictitious character that don't exist, but yet trying to represent me, a godly flesh and blood being that is of the Most High, that is a product of natural nature. See, it's this term called it's like a pecking order term, or it's like a term of how God created man. Man created governments, and governments created corporations. The corporations didn't create the government. The government didn't create man. Man didn't create God, but God created man. So, by my origin being of the Most High, through the making of the divine act of the sex act of my mother and my father, coming through her portal of life in a manifestation of this plane here, born into a world that has been constructed a certain way to appear to be playing games as soon as we enter this world, to shape us into a certain mentality to be of it. But yet, divine protections was always there for me to get connected to going on with the forwardness of my life, being connect for me to, as a child, to mentally grow up and comprehend one day to get connected with divine guidance of scriptures, for me to really comprehend and know who I belong to in terms of me belonging to the Most High and not man that is of the evil one's designs. For instance, my nature is to be free. My nature is not to be enslaved by nothing or no one. Now, for instance, the birth certificate, right? There is a remedy to where it's a process that we can go through to be free from certain entanglements. But first, let's go back to the term crisis. The word crisis is a noun and is an unchanged Morse Latin word meaning the turning point in a disease toward life or death. Crisis also means an emergency. The very life and culture of the branded and labeled people suppressed by the European occupational European state society is in crisis. Now, that's why when we say there is a such thing as racism that's alive and well to this day, and it is, but yet we are meant to come out from under that. So there's certain aspects of our history that's been kept hidden from us. But due to there being a great awakening at this time for us to, for like certain covers to be pulled out from over certain information for us to get access to and realize that, wait a minute, there's peace and friendships treaties that's in existence that Negroes, blacks, and colors and African Americans don't know about. But yet, being in tune with our proper person status and nationality, we will know about those treaties to the point where we will know that we don't have an identity crisis, or we shouldn't have had that identity crisis really to begin with. So wait a minute. It appears that there is some kind of games being played here. So I don't want to be at the receiving end of that game being played. You know what I'm saying? The joke gonna be on those individuals, not me. You know what I'm saying? Shame on these fools who try to run game on a brother. You know what I'm saying? Who's buck wild with the trip? Get out of here with that. You know what I'm saying? I ain't. You know what I'm saying? Going for that. Like, you know what I'm saying? Daryl Hall and John Oates sung that classic song. I can't go for that. Nah, no can do. I can't go for that. Can't go for that. Can't go for that. Can't go for that. You know what I'm saying? I can't go for that. I'm not falling for it. See, now that I know better, I do better. To be free from identity crises, we have to connect to our true spiritual sciences, right knowledge. Noble Drew Ali brought a good remedy. You know what I'm saying? To proclaim our nationality you know what I'm saying, as Moors. Your Massey Creek Seminoles, Washita Moors, Nubians, what have you, in terms of connecting with our true indigenous roots that put us in our proper state of mind, connected with our true culture and spiritual systems. There's remedies in this. Now, going back to that term about vacating your slavery bond, commonly known to you or to us as a birth certificate, property of the Crown Corporation. Now, who is the Crown Corporation? Research Crown Corporation. Now, and in terms of this Crown Corporation, right, and why you must have a CPAS. What is a CPAS? Research what is a CPAS, how to create one, and how to use it. The system Namdi us. What is that? Namdi The system Namdi us. Namdi what's that? Namdi is a legal term. Putting one under an assumed name to engage that person under a certain status socially into a certain jurisdiction. So when I was Namdi that put me under a certain jurisdiction. What jurisdiction did that put me under? It put me under it put me or you or us under the jurisdiction of that particular corporate construct of the Union State Societies that regulate with paperwork supported by a Magna Carta charter that's connected with European white supremacy. Now, no one wins the race in racism, right? Just because this person act that way don't mean that I share the same views of this person, even though these people doing what they doing. There's a higher road to take when it comes to real civilized people doing civilized things. Like a disclaimer, when a person come to a TV show, you have a disclaimer that say the views of this program don't necessarily support the views of this guest. But for the sake of dialogue on the show, a person, a onlooker, a spectator of the show, or a viewer of the show, you know what I'm saying, would take from the show or get from the show a certain moral to the story of what's going on, right? But it don't necessarily mean that the show support the views of the visitor. It was just a conversation or whatever. But entertainment and educational purposes only, which is what this transmission is about as well. This is for educational purposes only. Now, regarding the term Namdi, it also means a name of war, etymologically, right? From a French translation, as a identifier or identification number, being the straw man, all capital letters, the all caps name, making one state property of the crown that one can vacate anytime, that one can vacate at any time, being a natural flesh and blood being of God the Most High, right? Being in control of one's own life and energy. Now, overstanding contract law can help you prepare documents for your case dealing with this issue here and further comprehend how to perform forensics on documents, right? So you can disqualify them or these perpetrators who are trying to control your life through artificial means, through a fictitious person that's really non existent on paper, that was created by someone else other than yourself. Now, knowing the law is a imperative for us as a people and for us to understand what jurisprudence and law really is. Okay, now we have to be free from the crisis of identity. Now, to resume going into um, coming out of the crisis through lack of knowledge, right? Politically supported and protected social and economic disruption engineering has been traditionally directed by the colony states against the indigenous people of the Americas, Morocco. The brands and labels of Negroes, Blacks, Colored, Indian, West Indian have been accepted as true and are formed retroactively into ancient history. These chattel brands and label fraud are given de jure and legitimate reality in the state's educational system of the West. Now, how can you give institutions of learning, right, power to teach fraudulent information? Think about that. Hmm. How can you give educational institutions the authority to teach fraudulent information? It's something to that. It's something that the institutions want to hide. But the gig is up. We are in the light of things today. So let us reason together. Okay? Listen to me. Let us reason together, my people. You know what I'm saying? That we may be, you know, in light of who we really are today as light beings of the Most High. Okay, now, let's take this even deeper. Okay? Let's take this even deeper. Now, with the absence at the true national descent names of your Moorish forefathers, the nation of the earth have no lawful or legal obligations to recognize the heritage, birthrights, rights, and immunities of the people. It's really crazy that they think this way because why is that even necessary when we are who we are? You know what I'm saying? You cannot inherit that which is your forefathers if you don't recognize or acknowledge them or acknowledge your own self or bear their national names. The identity of your forefathers and yourselves must be in harmony as one and the same people. So why aren't what's considered black leaders identifying with these nationality terms? Hmm. Could it be that they are opportunists to make money for other reasons at the expense of generation after generation? You know what I'm saying? To not be led in the right direction, nationality wise. Now, the world need to graduate. This term, the world needs to graduate. The world is in need of graduation, right? From low frequency thinking. The world is in need for high frequency thinking now. There has been a lot of shifts that has taken place in nature and in higher dimensions and in the galaxies in the universe. That shifts is in nature in the universe that is taking place to where we have to upgrade our thinking and graduate into higher perceptions of reality now, dealing with the upright pyramid. You know what I'm saying? Dealing with the upright pyramid, not the lower part, but the upright part of the pyramid. You know what I'm saying? That representing higher consciousness through higher knowledge. Now, the world is in need of graduation, but the overseer leaders and teachers are unwilling to instruct or teach. Hmm. Why is they so unwilling to teach? Are they compromised? Or is it that they just uninformed that disqualifying them to teach what need to be taught? Or maybe they just don't know. But how can they teach something that they don't know unless they know and they being opportunists for money to teach wrong information to keep people dumbed down? And a lot of that has been going on. But yet, the world is in need of graduation. Now, the people are in want of knowing, but the selfish leaders and religions, God sellers, are too busy collecting wealth for themselves. They never support or admit to truthful and applicable information that they do not control. They refuse to reveal the fundamental civic truths which they know very well will begin to free the people. Freedom is beautiful. Isn't freedom wonderful, y'all? Ain't freedom beautiful? You know what I'm saying? Y'all feel me? Freedom is so beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Be free today. You know what I'm saying? Value freedom. You know what I'm saying? Now, most of them will have to condemn themselves. Now, wait a minute. Most of them will have to condemn themselves. Ignorance is a heavily promoted money generating business. There you go, y'all. That right there is a head buster right there. That lets you know why certain forces do what they do. To try to keep, you know what I'm saying? The a lot of people in the population ignorant to where by being in an ignorant state, they be ignoring the facts of certain realities all day long on a day-to-day basis. But we can't be one of them. You know what I'm saying? Because we are chosen ones. We are star seeds. We know better, so we do better, and we communicate better, and we deal with one another with respect, love, integrity. You know what I'm saying, and support. But look at this though. Now they refuse to reveal the fundamental civic truths, which they know very well will begin to free the people. Most of them will have to condemn themselves. Ignorance is a heavily promoted money generating business within the Union State Society of America. Wow. They do not want ignorance to end. Rhetoric is the order of the day. But not on my channel, you know what I'm saying? Not on my station. You know what I'm saying? The language that I select to use is about freedom, good health, good spirit, loving energies. You know what I'm saying? Um, Loving energies that that's supportive. You know what I'm saying? That promote organization and sound economic prosperity. And this goes on to read here though, right? They do not want ignorance to end. Rhetoric is the order of the day. True. Workable solutions orientated information is quickly dismissed as mere unsupported opinion. Now, these leaders usually claim to know God, have direct conversations, but do not, cannot, and will not identify the people they lead. They claim not to have the ability or resources to find the records, truth as to who or what the true national and parentage names of the enslaved people are. When questioned, they will often make statements like, don't question the word of God, don't question God, and this, that, and the third, right? Or the or the slave records were lost on a ship that sank off the coast of Virginia somewhere. Now, the leaders, right, and God sellers always have a new or different version of God and religion to sell to or force on the oppressed peoples. No. The key word is to not have things forced on us, which is a no-no. People in society don't like nothing forced on them. In order for someone to agree to something, let them agree to something naturally. You know, like people be trying to force things to happen to go their way. If it don't happen naturally, that creates an unnatural state in that situation. You know what I'm saying? So the key word, see, we gotta understand something. Getting things be forced on us as a people or whatever race. You know what I'm saying? No, an intelligent person think things through before they allow themselves to run with anything. You don't just run with something because you're here. You know what I'm saying? We don't just be off and running with something that don't even sound right to us. And all this stuff that these people doing is highly questionable. So we tearing this stuff down and we rebuilding. You know what I'm saying? We rebuilding a world for ourselves to where we are part of the great graduation. You know what I'm saying? To tap into higher frequencies connected with our true spiritual sciences. You know what I'm saying? So this going on, this is interesting though. This is going on to read that the leaders and God sellers always have a new or different version of God and the religions to sell to or force on the oppressed peoples. Another obvious and common similarity is that these all powerful gods are always financially destitute and desperate for money. Come on now. We see through that. You know what I'm saying? The Most High is free from want. The earth is the Most High's and the fullness thereof. So, like they say, how is these guys constantly, you know what I'm saying, systematically in need and want of money that we work hard for, that we need ourselves? Now, check this out, right? They always claim that their God is the same God, but yet different from everybody else's God. This is done without qualifying either gods. The state ordained leaders the state ordained leaders continuously establish organizations and institutions costing millions upon millions of dollars to run yearly, but solve little to nothing relating to the true problems facing peoples in their communities. The people are cultivated into passively tolerating their social and economic oppression with naive praise of false success. These ordained leaders come amongst the oppressed and poor people asking for more money to continue the previous failures. It's crazy. Then they leave again, as usual, expecting the poor to pay bills with and live on blind faith without asking questions. Oh, but we asking more than questions. We acting to not give energy to these parasitic forces that isn't contributing to the construction of us as a people and building our communities up to where they should reflect real godly support systems. You know what I'm saying? Why don't these leaders and God sellers stop asking for money and live on the blind faith that they perpetuate that they perpetrate amongst the poor and oppressed people? These ordained state leaders will spend millions of people's dollars paying lawyers to get equal pay for a woman or man working for some company charged with racism, calling it a win upon the examination of the expenditures and suffer. They could have bought many a company out lock, stock, and barrel for millions less. The violating company could then serve the people and create jobs and ownership amongst the people. That position, however, is too much like resolution, common sense, honesty, and problem solving. You know what I'm saying? Now, when it comes to problem solving, it can be done. But why is there so much procrastination and game plan when it comes to that particular real reality? You know what I'm saying? So, minus, okay, now, okay, I'm gonna keep resuming with this for a couple of minutes and then shift gears to even deeper perspectives of reality. These traditional leaders and God sellers consistently claim to be called by a God ordained by a God, yet never given instructions for direct and measurable communication with that God. Hmm. So people playing God games. Hmm. The poor and oppressed never quite quit, quite pray enough, give enough, or have enough blind faith. These overseers never teach the oppressed peoples of a route to economic control and stability, or of a direct relationship with these gods independent of paying off these leaders and God sellers on a consistent basis. When the people's money stops, the God stops. These traditional leaders and God sellers blatantly blame ordination by the Almighty God and divine creator. However, upon just a little investigation and research, one will quickly discover these people to be ordained, sanctioned, licensed, incorporated, and subject to the very suppressed and oppressive colony states that they claim holy separation from. It would be fair to see them for who they really are, agents of the state and Roman soldiers. Why don't they admit to what is obvious and provable? They have strong faith and confidence that the ignorant of any choice, often by choice, masses will not read or study for themselves. The middleman's leech, inspired, job is secure. Hmm. The middleman's leech, inspired, job is secure. Truth stands alone and needs no apology. Now, the truth is, proper jurisprudence has this particular law hearing mission beyond the definition. Jurisprudence is the science and philosophy that treats positive law and the administration of the same. It is the study of the nuances and structure of the legal systems and or their forms as opposed to or distinguished from the content of the said legal or law systems. Jurisprudence is more akin to analytical comparisons of systems of law. The root of jurisprudence is derived from the Old Morse Latin word juris, meaning law, and prudentia, meaning language, the language of law, connected to a de jure government of real law, not color of law, not a de facto government, but a de jure government that is a government that protects the substantive rights of people, real people. Now, in addition to this transmission, right? Higher learning, in terms of us graduating into higher perceptions of reality. There was this question asked, you know, the master teacher asked a question, right, pertaining to us being free from certain programming. You know what? I'm gonna get to. Matter of fact, I'm gonna just touch on a couple of questions while I got time dealing with this, as far as like going into deeper aspects of this transmission by seeing beyond the veil, right? Now, there is a reality that there are worlds beyond our world, things going on in our ocean waters, things going on in subterranean areas of our planet, things going on in different galaxies, things going on in the universe, things going on in different star constellations, things going on within our body spiritually, in terms of this awakening that's relevant to all kind of spiritual systems, you know, uh, that we connected with on the African continent, or here in this part of the world of North, Central, and South America. Now, which is really in this proper perspective, it's Al Morocco, elements of Atlantis, and meaningful places that's connected with the land of the gods. Now, it was this particular question by the master teacher where he stated, question, you stated that these type extraterrestrials are superhuman, right? Superhuman extraterrestrials. What will happen if extraterrestrials come to planet? If what will happen if extraterrestrials come to the planet and decide to harm human beings? Now, is these things that we have to worry about, or what about help human beings? What about extraterrestrials that's here amongst us to help us, help human beings? Who is behind the um, knowledge that is out here for us to graduate into, that helps stimulate higher consciousness, when we tap into higher vibrations, that is on time, doing this particular, that's on time with the right timing to grow into um, a new era of time, in terms of, like, how they say, times change. The times have changed. Um, what's constant is change, or what time it really is right now, as far as this being a alignment time. What does these higher beings have to do with us being in tune, with us raising our vibrations? For what purposes? To serve ourselves and the rest of humanity in relation to our fellow man, or for us to be protected in certain ways against these higher beings who can possibly turn on us? Do we know these higher beings' intentions? You know what I'm saying? How can we trust them? And in light of us raising our vibrations, how can we trust people who ain't doing the work? You know what I'm saying? In terms of doing our part to make the world a better place, so to speak. Now, this particular question: is it true that organic robotoids have a life force that is a motivating factor like that found in humans? Or questions like this: why are, okay, let me go back. Or can extraterrestrials come here? I want to start this off with the right question first and then follow with the rest of the question and answers. This goes, okay, we're going to start with this one here. Can extraterrestrials come here to take over our planet? Hmm. Do they, first of all, do extraterrestrials exist? Can extraterrestrials come here to take over our planet? You know, you have some people who is so closed minded they don't think extraterrestrials exist. But yet, those who have open minds, you know, they think and believe extraterrestrials exist. In fact, there's people amongst us on the planet who know the truth that extraterrestrials exist. And there's evidence to show and prove that extraterrestrials exist due to them establishing ancient civilizations on the planet that a lot of us is connected to this very day. So this goes on to say though, can extraterrestrials come here to take over our planet? Answer: extraterrestrials can come to your planet and take over. As a matter of fact, they have taken over as we speak. However, there are intergalactic laws that exist and govern the galaxy where other beings won't allow this to happen completely. Whenever the pre okay, whoever the president is the person or being that extraterrestrials consult because he is the individual that you select to represent you. Whatever choices or deals your president makes with extraterrestrials, whether they are beneficial or not, your president is your decision maker, making that he is speaking on your behalf. Now, with that said, there is some extraterrestrial involvement going on in our establishment. Now, with that said, right, there is a term called full disclosure that's taking place. I'm going to resume the next transmission regarding these subjects dealing with beings that existed before Adam and Eve that predate Bible stories. So, much love to my viewers, listeners, and supporters. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna discontinue this transmission right now for the sake of saving time for some other things. I gotta, you know, deal with doing some reflecting on some other things. But it's always a pleasure to be communicating with my people, building with y'all. Much love, you know what I'm saying? Keep your eyes open, you know, stay prayed up, you know, stay solid in your ways, you know what I'm saying? Separated from the unclean things of the world, you know what I'm saying, and understand, and know that the Most High is the best of planners, that love, the Most High love us, you know what I'm saying? And on my channel, you know what I'm saying, this is about love, you know what I'm saying, instead of hating, you know what I'm saying? That's the frequency that we are on, that's representing that graduation, you know what I'm saying, to the higher frequencies and energies and perceptions of how we think, you know what I'm saying? That's structured around positivity. And with that said, you know what I'm saying? Stay elevated. Positive energy activate constant elevation. Peace and love.